It took electricity 46 years to reach 1/4 of American homes. The internet, 7 years. ChatGPT did it in just 5 days. In 2023, more people talk to an AI than their doctor, lawyer, or therapist, and AI adoption is not slowing down. It is compounding at a staggering rate. OpenAI alone has a usage doubling rate of approximately 6 months. That's insane for a company of any size, but at their scale, that is practically unprecedented. This is once in history type stuff. This moment is for careers what a certain meteor was for the dinosaurs. Entire Fortune 500 companies are already running divisions made of just AI agents, replacing thousands of employees with a handful of algorithms. Jobs are dying off everywhere. Manufacturing has lost 78,000 more jobs this year alone. In August, pharma cut 19,000 jobs, finance cut 18,000, and that was just in 1 month. Big Oil, the backbone of the 20th century prosperity, is planning 25% workforce cuts by 2026. It's not like AI is just nibbling at the edges. Many companies report chatbots can already handle roughly 80% of frontline customer support queries. That will inevitably carry over into law, accounting, trucking, and even things like journalism. Goldman Sachs projects 300 million jobs worldwide will vanish to automation by 2030. That's more than the entire US population. This is a turning point in human history that will be a crisis for many, but an opportunity for some. And I've laid out all of it in 4 parts, including a playbook for exactly what to do. And do not skip part 3, as that is your detailed list for future-proofing your career. All right, let's get right into what's going on and how to position yourself to win. Welcome to part 1. What exactly makes a job safe or doomed? In 2023, PricewaterhouseCoopers found that nearly 40% of all US jobs involve tasks that can already be automated by AI, and that was just 2 years ago. Imagine what that number is today. Harvey AI, a legal AI tool, is already being used by 50 of the world's largest firms to handle contract review and legal research. QuickBooks essentially put junior accountants out of work by delivering an AI bookkeeper that automatically categorizes expenses. And Salesforce's Einstein GPT is automating project management dashboards across most of the Fortune 500, cutting layers of middle management. Here is the brutal truth. No matter how much time you spent studying, training, or outright doing the job, whether your current career will exist on the other side of the AI revolution or not, has nothing to do with how hard you work to gain your skills. It comes down to one simple test. Can AI or a robot do your job faster, cheaper, and better than you? If the answer is yes, just as electricity put lamplighters out of work, your job is going to go away. Before we get into the specifics of which jobs will last and which will fail, let's look at the underlying facts of what makes certain jobs vulnerable and others resilient. There is an underlying pattern, and once you understand it, you'll be better positioned to react quickly to the inevitable surprises that are going to happen. A 4-part pattern begins to emerge when you look at the jobs that are already being disrupted. 1, predictable and repetitive work is the first to go. That's why data entry jobs are already evaporating and why Goldman Sachs estimates up to 44% of legal work can be automated right now. 2, work that requires trust, creativity, or dexterity in the physical world are going to be much harder to replace. Robot plumbers will eventually happen, but that's going to be a long way down the road. Between the need for trust and the requisite dexterity for the job, that one is going to be much harder to produce at scale. You're looking at similar timelines for jobs that require deep empathy and true human connection. So things like therapists and daycare workers will have a much longer timeline than something like an accountant. It is inevitable that AI and robotics will augment their education and safety capabilities, but outright replacement is unlikely to happen quickly. 3, government sector jobs where efficiency isn't a key metric. I hate actually including this one as it is a catastrophic waste of taxpayer dollars, but the truth is, much of government is centered around offering employment rather than focusing on innovation and efficiency. It's somewhat inevitable that as AI puts more and more people out of work, the public sector is going to step in and try to hoover up some of that talent. And there will almost certainly be increased political division, but that presents its own set of risks. So that is a tomorrow problem. 4, the jobs that use AI directly, and even more importantly, the entrepreneurial opportunities that move higher up the stack to deliver proprietary solutions via AI. From biotech to advertising, this is the category of the future that offers the biggest moat for those looking to future-proof themselves. And we're going to get into more detail on this shortly, but think of it this way. There is a huge difference between being a 9-to-5 mid-level designer who can be replaced by Midjourney and a passionate solopreneur who builds an entire creative agency that deploys AI to service clients' creative needs. While this isn't exactly entrepreneurship in the classic sense of scaling a big company, it is what I think the future of most entrepreneurship is going to look like. This is a big part of the reason that I now teach lifelong employees how to launch their first business. It is self-evident to me that AI is going to force tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people to do a gig entrepreneurship hybrid where they customize a set of AI tools for bespoke outcomes. The best at this will make an absolute fortune, and everyone else will be stuck with their hand out for some UBI, which I think will be soul-crushing and ultimately destabilizing at the societal level. But we'll talk more about that in another video. I want to plant one last flag. To all the content creators out there, I'll give an honorable mention to anyone who can build a true community based on personality and what's known as proof of humanity, the fact that you are a real person. But this is a super niche solution and probably warrants its own video, so right now I'm just going to give it a nod. The real dividing line between what lives and what dies will change over time and rapidly. Honestly, those who win in the future are going to be those that have the ability to adapt quickly. As the famous adage goes, it's not the strongest that survive, nor the most intelligent, but rather the most adaptive to change. The stark reality is that it's the rate of change with AI that people are going to find the most dizzying. The key will be to avoid the obvious things that will be automated early and pick a career that both embraces AI and is likely to need a human for a very long time. In a world where everything is changing quickly, there is no sense in making your life even harder than it needs to be by being short-sighted. And no story shows how devastating being short-sighted can be than the tale of 2 famous photography companies, Kodak and Adobe. Kodak wasn't just a photography company, it was photography itself. At their peak, they controlled 90% of the US film market and employed over 140,000 people worldwide. And here's the kicker. One of their own engineers built the first digital camera prototype back in 1975. He showed it to management and they literally laughed. They told him not to talk about it again because it threatened their film business. Instead of embracing the future that they literally helped invent, they buried it. They doubled down on what they knew, film. And for a while, it looked like the right move. The film business was still massively profitable, and by 1996, Kodak was valued at a staggering $28 billion. But then, the digital wave hit full force, and eventually, camera phones exploded, and Kodak's core business evaporated almost overnight. By 2012, Kodak filed for bankruptcy. What they failed to recognize is the relentless inevitability of technological progress. Do not make that mistake. It stops for nothing. Adobe understood that and went the opposite direction. Instead of protecting their past, they did everything that they could to disrupt themselves. When generative AI landed, they didn't fight it. They launched Firefly, baking AI directly into Photoshop, Illustrator, and Creative Cloud. Instead of watching their customers flee to AI startups, Adobe is fighting to establish itself as the home for AI-powered creativity. So far, it's worked. Since 2020, their stock has grown nearly 5-fold. This is 2 stories from the same industry, but 2 very different approaches to change. And that's exactly the choice that all of us are facing right now in our careers. You can cling to the skills that worked yesterday, or you can adapt and try to disrupt yourself. One path ends in extinction, the other in growth. Now, whatever you do, do not just stand around waiting until 2030 to see which jobs make it through the revolution, because by then, it's going to be too late. The first wave of AI is already hitting the shore. If you haven't already reacted, you've missed that wave. Retail, hospitality, manufacturing, oil, finance, even some government jobs are already being replaced. You need to act now while you still have an early adopter advantage. So welcome to part 2, jobs that are already dead or in decline. Since 2020, the number of cashiers in the US has fallen by over 350,000 as self-checkout and AI-powered point-of-sale systems take over. Even in fast food, AI is already gutting employment. Wendy's new AI ordering system handles 86% of all orders without the need for human intervention. McKinsey projects that by 2030, nearly 1/3 of US workers will need to switch occupations because their current role no longer exists. The dominoes are already falling. Retail and hospitality are at high risk. More and more hotels are experimenting with replacing concierges with AI assistants and automated check-in. Manufacturing, we've already talked about that, falling off a cliff. Offshoring was once the biggest problem, but now the new problem is automation. Dock workers and the like are actively trying to stop it with strikes and moronic demands, but the reality is that what can be automated will be automated. High-paying, white-collar jobs, once thought untouchable, are proving to be on the chopping block with everything else. Oil and resource extraction is already seeing a decline. Chevron and BP are planning 25% workforce cuts by 2026. While energy as a sector has a massive future that we're going to talk about, it will look different than the past. The common denominator across all of these industries that are at risk is very simple. They run on patterns. And AI, at its core, is a hyper-sophisticated pattern recognition machine. Given enough data, AI can spot a pattern virtually anywhere a pattern exists, and it can do it much faster and more accurately than any human could ever dream of. That's why the first wave of jobs to disappear are going to be the ones that follow predictable workflows. Cashiers, customer support reps, data entry clerks, paralegals reviewing contracts, accountants categorizing expenses. These are the types of jobs that are extremely vulnerable and in fact are already being hollowed out. Nobody understands that better than Elon Musk, who is at the frontier of AI. At Tesla, Elon made the very controversial call to reject LiDAR, the expensive laser-based 3D mapping system other companies have invested so heavily in. Instead, Tesla cars use cameras and neural networks to recognize, you guessed it, patterns in the world and driver behavior, the same way that humans do. Lane markings, stop signs, merging cars, they all follow repeatable rules. And Tesla is a data collection juggernaut. They have now logged billions of miles of real-world driving data to train those models. The more miles Teslas drive, the better the system gets at predicting what comes next. The same logic drove Elon's purchase of X, formerly Twitter. It wasn't just about owning a social network. It was about owning the world's largest stream of raw human behavior. Hundreds of millions of people posting short bursts of text, images, and reactions every day. It's one of the richest data sets for training AI to recognize patterns in language, sentiment, and social interaction. Tesla teaches machines to read the road, X teaches machines to read the crowd. Both strategies are built on the same bet. Pattern recognition is enough. And here's the terrifying implication. Your job is just another data set of human patterns. Filing insurance claims, a pattern. Processing invoices, a pattern. Resolving customer complaints, a pattern. Even diagnosing patients from symptoms and scans, it's all just pattern recognition. If Elon is willing to bet Tesla's future on cameras and pattern recognition instead of lasers and 3D mapping, you should take heed. If patterns can replace a human driver, hurtling down the freeway at 70 miles an hour, then patterns can absolutely replace you sitting at a desk. And that's exactly what's happening. The next wave is inevitable. Truck drivers as autonomous fleets scale, journalists and content mills drowned out by AI-generated articles and slop, large swaths of law and finance automated, and entire layers of middle management wiped out by AI dashboards. It's not science fiction, it's the physics of AI. Machines don't need to think like us to replace us. They just need enough data to see the patterns that we can't. And the more data they get from your job, your car, your tweets, and everything else we kick off simply by living our lives and doing our jobs, the faster they learn. That's why pattern-based jobs are dying. And by 2030, entire categories of work we once thought essential will simply no longer exist. So start planning now for part 3, the jobs of the future. AI is causing a lot of panic right now, but consider this. In the 1800s, entire towns relied on knocker-uppers. I cannot believe that's what they were called, but it is. People paid to walk the streets and tap on windows with long sticks to wake workers up for their shifts. Alarm clocks came along and poof, they were out of work. Before refrigeration, cities employed thousands of ice cutters, men who sawed giant blocks of ice from frozen lakes and hauled them into warehouses. Fridges killed that job, but also spawned the modern cold chain logistics industry that employs millions today. The Industrial Revolution, it wiped out hand loom weavers who couldn't compete with textile machines and a whole lot more, but it also created hundreds of thousands of jobs in factories, shipping, and global trade that simply didn't exist before. This is known as creative destruction. While I expect that will be very cold comfort for anyone who dedicated years of their life to mastering a skill that's just gonna go away, here's the point. For every job that disappears, entire new categories will emerge. Electricity may have killed lamplighters, but it created electricians, radio operators, computer engineers, and the entire modern tech sector. There are inevitably going to be many incredible things on the horizon for those willing to adapt. For instance, cybersecurity spending is projected to hit $200 billion annually by 2030. Demand for AI and machine learning specialists has surged by 75% just since 2020, and LinkedIn says it's now the fastest growing job category worldwide. And even if you're not that tech savvy, the US Bureau of Labor Statistics projects that jobs for wind turbine technicians will grow by 45% this decade, making it one of the fastest growing jobs in America. In healthcare, AI-driven drug discovery has cut development timelines from 6 years to 18 months, opening the door to millions of new biotech jobs. And here's the kicker. Upwork reports freelancers with AI skills earn 40% more on average than their peers. Proof that the winners aren't just giant companies, they're individuals who learn to wield these tools. Now, here's a sector-specific breakdown of where the data points that human jobs are going to thrive the longest. 1. AI builders and architects. As mentioned, demand for AI and machine learning specialists is going to continue to climb. It's already surging, and LinkedIn ranks it as the fastest growing job category worldwide. Just like during the Industrial Revolution, the most future-proof jobs were in factories and ancillary jobs tied to industrial manufacturing like shipping. Today, as AI bears down on our familiar economy, the best place to seek refuge is in AI itself. And it's not all just PhD level engineers. We're already seeing the rise of novel jobs like prompt architects, people who understand how to coax the best outputs from AI models, which can be shockingly fickle, going from absolute trash to unbelievable simply by modifying the prompt. It's a strange new skill set to be sure, but it's quickly becoming a career in its own right. We'll get back to the show in just a second, but first I want you to picture this. You walk into your kitchen and open your freezer, and instead of empty shelves and random leftovers, you see rows of premium cuts stacked like treasures. Filet mignon, wild-caught salmon, grass-fed beef. When your freezer is stocked with premium protein, you are always just one step away from an incredible meal.
ButcherBox made this possible for me, and now they're making it possible for you. I worked with them to create the Bill You box, but here's where I may have gotten a little carried away during my negotiations. I demanded free bacon for life, and somehow they actually said yes. So you guys get my curated selection as your first box, plus bacon showing up forever. After the first box, you unlock 80 premium products to customize however you want. Get the Bill You box plus free bacon for life and $20 off. Just go right now to butcherbox.com/impact and use code IMPACT. And now let's get back to the show.
Also, at least for now, there is a huge gap between the baseline output of AI and a completed project. As a game developer, I can tell you right now, this gap is massive. So while AI has sped us up dramatically and lowered our costs dramatically, we still need humans to move game assets through the pipeline, as right now, there's no one solution to rule them all. This creates huge opportunities for employees and vendors to make themselves indispensable by mastering the tools and filling in the gaps where AI currently fails. The specifics of where the gaps are going to change rapidly, but an adaptable person will remain useful for years to come. 2, cybersecurity and AI safety. As AI grows more powerful, so do the risks. Cybersecurity spending is projected to hit $200 billion annually by 2030. Companies, governments, even hospitals are scrambling to defend against AI-driven hacks and deepfake scams. Then there's AI safety itself. AI will not accidentally be benevolent. It will need human intervention to ensure that it remains a tool and not a slave master. There will be huge demand for people who can figure out how to align, regulate, and safeguard these systems now and into the future as the landscape evolves. 3, energy, clean energy, and climate tech. Not every future-proof job is digital. As mentioned earlier, jobs like wind turbine technician are already growing rapidly. Also, if China's any indication, solar energy is going to be a ginormous sector that will account for a massive amount of our energy production in future years. From design, installation, distribution, and maintenance, this will likely become a huge sector in its own right. And while I don't expect nuclear to grow as much as solar, that too will almost certainly be a part of not only meeting the energy demands of AI itself, but meeting green standards without blowing out the cost of living. AI is already being used to optimize energy grids, predict equipment failures, and even design better batteries. The energy sector is going to continue to boom, and given the global obsession with climate and the central role that energy in general is going to play in building the world of abundance that everyone is counting on AI for, this is an industry that one would do well to consider. 4, healthcare and biotech innovators. Most people want to live forever, or at least live a long and healthy life. And as I say, a healthy man has many dreams, but a sick man has but one. Healthcare has been absolutely gagging for the kind of massive data set pattern recognition that is only now possible with AI. And as such, AI will, for sure, lead the way on healthcare advancements. There will be copious amounts of money flowing into the sector in the hopes of mapping how the human body actually works and discovering new drugs and breakthrough cures. And so far, AI isn't so much replacing doctors and researchers as it is arming them with superpowers. For instance, AI and robotics is allowing doctors to perform surgeries remotely over the internet. Now, it is obviously early days, but this is an area ripe for the creation of a slew of currently unimaginable new jobs. 5, entrepreneurs and solopreneurs who leverage AI. Here's where the biggest hidden opportunity lies. You don't need to be a Fortune 500 CEO to win. Individuals who learn to wield AI as leverage are already outpacing entire teams. Some one-person businesses are now able to deliver what used to take agencies of 10 or 20 people. The future isn't just about working for AI-powered companies. It's about using AI yourself to build on your own. Whether that's a design studio, a niche SaaS app, an e-commerce store, or even a YouTube channel, the barrier to entry has collapsed. The leverage that AI gives is unprecedented. To round this all out and be a little more exhaustive, here are some additional categories that are likely to thrive in a fully AI-enabled world, where humans oversee, augment, or provide irreplaceable elements like empathy, judgment, and physicality. According to the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report in 2025, PwC's 2025 Global AI Jobs Barometer, Microsoft's Occupational AI Impact Study, McKinsey's analysis, and U.S. Career Institute's list of AI-proof jobs, in addition to the things I've already mentioned, the categories that are likely to remain viable in the face of AI are skilled trades and maintenance, so think electricians, mechanics, construction workers, things that require physical dexterity and on-site problem solving. Things where humans are likely to desire connection with another human, so think mental health and social services, counselors, social workers. Roles like that are already showing signs of 27% growth. AI can handle the admin for sure, but so far, the human connection leaves people wanting. This may change over time as people grow more accustomed to dealing with and trusting AI, but odds are that proof of humanity is going to remain desirable for a long time here, especially for jobs that interface with people that grew up before AI. Robotics and engineering will also be resilient, as will agricultural equipment operators, designing and maintaining AI hardware, and you can expect a boom in farming and green tech. And while not exactly a high-powered career, the creative and performing arts are likely to do well given the odds that proof of humanity will likely be valued. Choreographers, artists, performers, storytellers are all likely to hold on to at least niche appeal, despite a high probability that mid and low-tier creativity is going to get crowded out by AI creations and outright slop. Top-tier creators will continue to thrive given that some subset of people are going to reject AI creations outright and prefer instead proof of humanity. So while millions of jobs are going away, millions more are going to be born. And the key commonality, these categories are sectors like energy where the mere use of AI will require massive expansion of the sector itself, or where a human obsession is met, like longevity or green energy, or where there is human-AI symbiosis. For instance, where AI handles the patterns, but humans remain to provide the oversight and creativity, a combination that, according to PricewaterhouseCoopers, has led to an average of 3x revenue growth in AI-exposed sectors and a 56% wage premium for skilled workers. All right. Now that we've got a detailed map of where the job landscape is headed as AI takes over the world, let's put it all together into a playbook of how to move forward well. So welcome to Part 4, the playbook for winning in the age of AI. 200 years ago, over 70% of Americans worked in agriculture. Today, it's less than 2%. Entirely new industries absorbed everybody else. In the 1990s, there were 0 web developers. Today, there are over 23 million worldwide. Since 2000, smartphone adoptions has created an app economy worth over $6 trillion. 15 years earlier, no one even knew what an app was. Every wave of disruption wipes out jobs, no doubt, but it also creates entirely new categories and new opportunities for not just employment, but for wealth creation for the people willing to learn and adapt. It absolutely breaks my heart that we have taught multiple generations to be mad about their lot in life instead of doing something about it. That is so disempowering. So consider this section my attempt to jolt you back into the driver's seat. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be mad as hell about the state of the economy. You should. Our current economic deck is stacked against the young. But the only thing that will make it worse is resigning to it. There are steps that you can take even during this AI-fueled time of massive disruption and win while others panic. Here are the steps. Step 1, audit your job and adapt. We've gone into great detail here about the future of the jobs market because having a stable, future-proof job is the safest bet. I get that, especially if you have family or even just debt. So start there. Get brutally honest about your current position. Apply the AI test. Is your work predictable, repetitive, or reducible to patterns? If the answer is yes, don't panic, but put together an immediate action plan to get somewhere safer. Jobs that lean heavily on trust, dexterity, empathy, and/or proof of humanity have much longer timelines. Anything tied to AI itself, a growing industry, or a future-facing human obsession like biotech and clean energy are also great places to consider. Regardless of what avenue you head down though, start mastering AI in any and all relevant ways to your chosen profession. The key is to move early, because waiting until the layoff notice hits is like waiting to buy flood insurance after the hurricane has already hit. Step 2, build a path to wealth. Build a path to wealth. Once your basic needs are met with a job, it is time to focus on building wealth. Jobs are always going to be volatile. Learn to control your destiny through the following 3 pillars. Pillar 1, become a builder. Modern entrepreneurship with AI leverage. A Fidelity study found that 88% of millionaires are self-made, but there's a catch. Almost all of them got there by building businesses or investing in assets, not by climbing the corporate ladder. Futurist Peter Diamandis constantly reminds people that the surest way to predict the future is to invent it. The same is true with jobs. The surest way to ensure you always have a job is to create it through entrepreneurship. Now look, I know not everybody is made for this route, but I believe AI will make the rate of change so extreme that many will be forced to create their own jobs just to stay gainfully employed. Remember, no one's coming to save you. And wealth has historically been built by creating businesses. Rockefeller, Carnegie, Musk, Jobs, Bezos, all of them got rich by building. If you have the stomach for it, prepare now. The leverage that AI gives you is insane. Just look at AI native startups like Jasper or Synesthesia, scaling to over $100 million in annual recurring revenue in just 2 to 3 years. Or the 20-something-year-old who raised $25 million for his AI startup. If you just can't bear to build something on your own, then try Pillar 2, a side hustle for cash flow resilience. Being an entrepreneur can be overwhelming. Trust me, I know that fact intimately. But in the AI age, a side hustle takes less time and can pay off more than ever. At least right now, in this window where most people still aren't taking AI seriously enough, you have an opportunity to get first mover advantage. Freelancers today have the opportunity to use AI to outproduce entire teams working without it. YouTube creators are also scaling their content output with AI workflows, hitting audiences at a speed the old guard just cannot match. And whether you do pillars 1 and 2 or have a reaction to them that's so severe you sit them both out, there is absolutely no excuse for not doing pillar 3. Pillar 3 is where I get tyrannical because it is lunacy to not do it. It is literal financial suicide to not do pillar 3. Here it is. Pillar 3. Own assets. Over the last 200 years, U.S. stocks have returned an average of 6.5% per year above inflation. No job can match that kind of compounding. Einstein is often quoted as saying, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it. He who doesn't, pays it. Whether he actually said it or not is moot. It's a true statement. And if you don't own assets, the government will steal your purchasing power through inflation. I've covered this topic extensively, so click here if you want a full video just on this principle. Now, as a quick primer, you don't have to get fancy. Simply consistently investing in the S&P 500 for a couple of decades has allowed millions of people to turn relatively small amounts of money into life-changing wealth. You don't have to invest a lot, but you do have to invest consistently and for the long term. Otherwise, every single day, your money is becoming worth less and less. In the AI age, this doesn't change. If anything, it becomes more critical because in times of great uncertainty, ownership remains the surest thing. Governments will continue to deficit spend and print money. And as long as that's the case, you absolutely must own assets to escape the damage of inflation. All right, in conclusion, it's time to pick a side. Extinction or evolution. AI is not a fad. It is already changing our world faster than anything that's come before, by orders of magnitude, and it's only going to get faster. Change will truly be the only constant. It will do you no good to lament over the death of the old world.
Technological progress is unstoppable, and it doesn't care how long you've worked, how much you've studied, or how nostalgic you are for what used to be. It cares only about one thing. Can you produce outcomes that AI can't? You have to find a path to answering that question, yes. Even if in the final analysis that becomes impossible, it's not impossible today. Therefore, anyone who quits out of fear will get devoured by those more resilient and adaptable than the people who stand still. Long before AI puts you out of work, standing still will see you gobbled up. You've seen the map now. You know the rules. Easy to identify patterns equals peril. Trust, dexterity, empathy, human obsessions, and areas where people will care about proof of humanity equal a longer timeline. Don't worry about perfectly mapping the future. It's changing way too rapidly for that. Just focus on being directionally correct. Audit your job, adapt your skills, execute on both stabilizing your immediate economic needs while building a long-term path to wealth via assets and ownership. This isn't about hype. It's about physics. The physics of AI, the physics of money, the physics of progress, the physics of compounding, the physics of progress and change themselves. Consider this the starting gun for a race that goes something like this. Week 1, run the AI test in your career. If it fails, pick a pivot lane. Month 1, enroll in one course, master one AI tool, and buy your first share of an index fund. Month 3, ship one offer. Start freelancing, deliver a product or service using AI as much as possible, no matter what you do. Month 6, raise your prices, automate what you can, and increase your rate of investment into assets. By the end of year 1, look back and realize you didn't just stand still or panic like the vast majority of humanity is going to do. You read the room and adjusted while everyone else drowned in a tsunami of AI-driven change. Now, that's obviously a gross oversimplification, but it's directionally correct, and for now, that's enough. Every disruption in history crowned a new class of winners. The difference now is speed. What used to take decades will happen in months, which means the distance between where you are and where you want to be has never been shorter. You just have to move, and move now. The meteor is screaming towards Earth. Find cover now. Extinction or evolution is a choice. Remember, the event that killed the dinosaurs gave rise to the age of mammals because we were the most adaptive to change. Audit, adapt, build, own. Start today. All right, if you guys want to see me explore ideas like this live, be sure to join me on YouTube live at 6 a.m. Pacific time, Wednesdays and Fridays. Until then, my friends, be legendary. Take care. Peace.
If you're an aspiring entrepreneur with a dozen business ideas, but you're paralyzed because you don't know which one will actually make money, I can help you solve this problem in 30 minutes. The problem isn't that you don't have good ideas. I bet you have too many good ideas, and that's the problem. You can't make a decision. If you haven't tried my free Zero to Launch GPT yet, you are missing out. We've gotten incredible feedback from people who are finally launching their businesses using this tool. Kyle B, for instance, said it best when he said, "This custom GPT is lighting a fire in me." He went from not knowing how to maintain momentum to implementing a 10-week action plan that was so effective, he was having a hard time convincing himself to leave his workspace at the end of the day because he was getting so much done. This free custom GPT is personally trained on my proven framework. It will help you analyze the market and create an exact action plan to launch in just 30 minutes. Stop overthinking and start taking the steps to launch right now today. Click the link in the show notes to access the free Zero to Founder Launch GPT right now.
If you like this conversation, check out this episode to learn more.
In the first 5 months of 2025 alone, U.S. employers announced nearly 700,000 job cuts, an 80% spike from last year. That's over 4,000.